Former South African President Jacob Zuma has been sentenced to 15 months behind bars after being found guilty of contempt of court. Mr. Zuma refused an earlier order to appear in front of a corruption panel investigating charges that he allowed the plunder of government coffers during his 9-year term. His own party forced him to stand down 3 years ago. Well, straight to South Africa, where we join DW correspondent Christine Mundwa in Cape Town. Welcome, Christine. How have people been reacting to this story?
Phil, I wouldn't be lying if I told you that there are people in this country celebrating today. This is being seen as a historic day. President Zuma used to be called the Teflon president because he has evaded justice on so many occasions, according to some people. He's finally met his day. 15 months jail sentence. A lot of people cannot believe that this is actually happening. I was looking at some Twitter reactions, people asking people to confirm, is this for real? Is this really happening? Of course, those would be the people who are not President Jacob Zuma supporters. Those who are see this as a very, very dark and a bleak day. The prospect of the man that they love so much going to spend the next few months in jail. So.
Right. And so it's important to remember, despite the corruption allegations swirling around him, that this jail term is not for corruption, but for contempt of court. So people must be wondering if he will actually end up going to prison.
Phil, as it stands, the only way out of this for the president is, for the former president, would be if the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, offered him a pardon. Of course, there is a whole conversation around that raging in this country of whether or not President Ramaphosa would do that. But that is the only way that he can potentially evade not having to go to jail. The Constitutional Court gave him 5 days to present himself to a police station. Failing that, they have instructed the police minister and the police commissioner to make sure that he is behind bars within 3 days if he does not make it to a police station in the 5 days. By all indications, he's going to abide by that. His daughter tweeted earlier that he has decided to serve his jail sentence in his home province in KwaZulu-Natal, in Kanda, near to his homestead. And we expect that he's going to be turning himself in the coming days. Some sources that I've spoken to said most likely Sunday or Monday. So that's what we're expecting. We know that there were people who had gathered about his house last night. People slept outside his homestead in KwaZulu-Natal, threatening anybody who would come to touch him, so to say. But having listened to his spokesperson speaking earlier as well in reaction to this, he is going to turn himself over. It does look like that day that many people thought would never come, President Jacob Zuma going to prison, really has come, Phil.
Sounds like it would be hard to understate the significance of this court decision.
Yeah. Phil, people have called this a historic day. And let me just give you the context to that. This country has had many corruption scandals. It's almost on a daily basis you read about somebody in some office being involved in some tender corruption or something, in a country where people are really suffering, and any cent that goes to waste really costs lives, in this pandemic, for example. And there had been the sense that the people in power, the ruling elite, people like President Jacob Zuma, are above the law, that they can get away with anything. And so you even heard it as the judge read out the ruling, that they said they looked at the former President Jacob Zuma, and said an example had to be made, essentially, loosely translating what was said, that an example had to be made to show people that nobody is above the law. And that's certainly how this is being received. There are people who feel that now that this has happened, a minister, a cabinet officer, or anybody sitting in government with access to public funds will think twice about getting involved in bribery and corruption, because now there is the sense that no one is above the law, that even if you were the former president of this country with the kind of support that President Jacob Zuma has had and still continues to have to a great degree, nobody is above the law. And this is why this is being celebrated as a victory. A little less for some people to do with President Jacob Zuma himself, but just that the rule of law has prevailed. That is what people are celebrating across the board in this country today.
All right, thank you for that, Christine Mundwa in Cape Town.